UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Engage.
78 years have passed since the days of the original USS Enterprise. Now a new Galaxy starship has been designed.
Transporter Chief, beam our listeners aboard. Welcome to Galaxy Class, a Star Trek The Next Generation podcast on the United Federation of Podcasts Network. I am Diplomatic Standard Bearer Kevin Scharf. With me today are the head of astrophysics, I believe that is still his title, it could be head of packing and moving, Joe Keegan, and our lower decks coordinator, Pierre Larocco. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. Do you know what? I got bored of astrophysics because, do you know what? That kind of science is just really too easy for me. So I have changed to being head of technical support.
We need that these days.
We do, especially today for this recording.
Yes, it's...
Yes, that's a very good point.
Yes. And after watching some Lower Decks, I've realized that my skill sets as an assistant principal handling discipline is probably better suited wrangling those Lower Deck characters.
I still just have fun with flags.
Do you know that's all you need in your life?
Exactly. Why do I need anything more?
We should really have to tell the listeners, don't we?
We should.
Okay.
We should. Let's
tell them.
Go ahead, Joe.
Listeners, we have been trying to record this episode for all of 44 minutes. And this is take number 79 or something?
About that.
Yeah, with a variety of random technical issues. I am now recording via GarageBand on my iPad, and I've got Zoom on my MacBook, and the connection is stable until the next issue occurs. So if it randomly goes quiet for 5 minutes, then you know that we messed up. But hopefully you'll get to hear the whole episode once it's all edited beautifully together and no audio issues. So there we go.
You won't even know there was an issue.
But they will, because we've just told them.
That's true. Because we love our listeners and we need to be upfront with them and let them in on all the secrets.
Full disclosure. Full transparency.
Well, speaking of our listeners, let us hear what they had to say and check the communication array to see if we have any comments from them.
Logs accessed.
Okay, I'll go first. Greg Molumby via Facebook Messenger sent us a message, and it relates to, I think there was a digression on last week's episode about TV streaming and availability of certain shows and American Gladiators and all that. So the first part of Greg's message, it's a long message, so I won't read it all out, but the first part of the message relates to that conversation. Then he goes on to say, I love the what if on if Jack Crusher was the Traveller. That could explain so much about Wesley, from his smarts to what the actual Traveller saw in him. I still don't think the actual Traveller was the only one of his species, so having it be a generational thing is such a great idea. Then again, he goes on to say, Worf dying in ethics would really have changed the landscape of Trek in the 1990s. There would be no Worf to help stop the Klingons impede on Bajoran space, or joining the House of Martok, or killing Gowron. Heck, Worf, in a sense, saves the entire Klingon Empire, so his death might be the end of the Klingon Empire as we know it. Great show this week, as always. Thanks, Greg. That was a really great message. And yeah, that whole thing about Worf dying in ethics, because Worf is in so much Star Trek, from like TNG and Deep Space Nine and the movies, every decision they made for the character really had an impact on the character's availability in the future. So it's a really great point. We might have lost the Dominion War if it wasn't for Worf.
So Chrissie De Clerck-Szilagyi says, I love the idea that Jack Crusher was the Traveller. As to whether the Travelers would help, probably not, at least as we're given the understanding from the A Time 2 novels.
It's been a long time since I've read those novels, and I don't recall the Traveler's points in them, but I it's always interesting to see what the novels bring back up. So I may have to dive back into those books.
And I haven't listened to the episode where you guys talked about Jack Crusher being the Traveller, so it never occurred to me. This is new information to me. And if it's true, it's kind of...
You need to go listen, because there's a genius that came up with that idea.
Who was this genius?
Must have been Rhea.
Me.
Must have been Rhea. Rhea? No, Pierre. Cool.
And the last message we've got is from Christina Geister, and she said, "The what if question always got me into trouble as a kid, and now I'm loving the imagination of what if." I love this series too. It's a series that we did start back on the old show, and it's always fun to talk about what the possibilities are. When I was a kid, there was a Marvel comic called What If. It was all about what if certain things had happened in another way. And there's going to be an animated series called What If that's going to be on Disney Plus that's going to take the Marvel universe in various different directions because of it. So What If is always fun to play, and it's fun to play with Star Trek.
This is the captain. Senior officers will report to my ready room immediately.
So what are we talking about today, Kevin?
So we are back with our series of Batleth battles. They seem to have been quite popular. I'm glad that we've found a formula that works for us. Today's Batleth battle pits two... I'm not going to say top tier episodes. They're not top tier episodes. Two very random episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation against each other. They are Season 2, Episode 22, Shades of Grey, and Season 5, Episode 20, Cost of Living. So, Shades of Grey. That's an episode we talked about quite a bit just a couple of weeks ago, Joe, when we did our Season 2 look at the bottom episodes. So, do you want to maybe summarize Shades of Grey, or
do we have to? I know you at the beginning you said that these are two kind of okay episodes of Star Trek, but for me it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Which one's going to win? Seriously, I don't know why we're having to record this episode, because it's just so obvious which episode is going to win for me.
When you said both of them were okay, you lied.
No, I used to like Canadians, but now I'm rethinking that.
I thought you guys were nice and didn't lie.
All I'm saying is that I would rather watch bad Star Trek than many, many other things. When we had our discussion about Shades of Grey a couple of weeks ago on the Season 2, finding the good and the bad, I think we came to the conclusion that Shades of Grey as a plot isn't as bad as we were led to believe. I think there are some good things in it. I really do.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. Yeah.
I wasn't in that discussion, so let me bring my my new fresh approach to it.
Okay.
Right? All right. The idea that some mysterious thing on a new planet stings somebody and they're about to die, that's fine. Mm-hmm. That's great. That's a good. Then to take a second season episode and decide to just recap all the Riker moments. That's just lazy writing.
Well, you know the reason for it, though. There was the writer's strike on at the time, so...
I mean, I would have rather had one less episode that season. It's terrible.
I mean, in a way, you're right.
Fairly strong view.
This is a contractual obligation episode. You know, they have to make so many episodes because of actors' contracts. It probably would have cost them more to not film an episode than to make this. When it came right down to it, with penalties they would have had to pay to people if they didn't do it. But, I mean, having said that, the clip show parts aside, it's a great showcase for Pulaski. It re-establishes the Troy-Riker relationship. It does show that there is danger when people beam down to alien planets. Like, that's not something that we see very often. Normally, they beam down to a planet and they're in a conference room or a throne hall or something like that. You know, this is a scary, dangerous job that these people have, and at least Shades of Grey does show that.
And I like those parts of it, and I get what you're saying about showcasing Pulaski, but they should have showcased her better then, if that was the point. Like, they didn't need every memory didn't need to be re-shown to us. There could have been more scenes in sickbay with Pulaski and Troy. There could have been more. There could have just been more. There could have been a longer time with Data and Geordi trying to figure out what it was. They could have done more creative things to get the same story out. Like we understand. You could have just been like, we're stimulating the mind to have more unpleasant thoughts. Like you didn't need to show us them all.
And that's what I think why people think it's a bit dull, because literally it's like the menagerie being the same as the cage.
Yeah.
In that 2-part menagerie TOS episode, you see pretty much every part of the cage, which people might not have seen before.
Right. It's not like you're in season 7 or season 6 at this point. You have there's a small amount of material to draw from.
Yes. And somebody said that during our discussion. Who was it? Was it Amy?
Probably.
Was it Amy that was discussing it with us? I can't remember yesterday, but I think it was Amy. She said that it would have been fine if it was season 7.
Oh, I think I said that,
and it
actually.
would have been a bit of nostalgia. Yeah, it would have been nostalgia for us to see kind of earlier episodes and how... Now, the way they did that montage, the flashback montage in What You Leave Behind, Deep Space Nine finale, and it was just really poignant, and it showed you all the nice times everybody had together and how they grew as a crew. So yeah, but I think you're right, Pierre. I don't think it works in a season 2 episode. But Kevin, you did ask me originally to kind of recap the episode, and I almost refused.
Yes, you did.
But, well, I think it's only fair to listeners to perhaps recap it just now. So, if you're a TNG fan, you will hopefully have seen Shades of Grey. It's a season 2 episode. It was at the end of season 2, so season 2 episode 22. And I think that was the last episode, wasn't it?
Again, because of the writer's strike, it was a shorter season. Every other season was 26.
26, yes, of course. So the Enterprise is in orbit of a planet, Serata 4, and an away team, LaForge and Riker, are down on the planet in a swamp. It's a pretty good looking swamp, I will give them that. When Riker gets injured and he gets stung in the leg by something, he's not sure what it is. So they don't want to beam up in case it's kind of an infection that could infect the rest of the crew. So Pulaski beams down and clears him for transport. And then later on, Data beams down, which is the best scene of the episode, where they're investigating what might have caused it. And Data and Geordi see this vine, like tree root kind of thing. And they go near it, and as they get closer, it jumps out to try and attack Geordi. And Data, with his ninja-like reflexes, captures this root and stops it from attacking Geordi. So that's the best scene in the whole TV show. Turns out that this infection is spreading through Commander Riker's central nervous system, going from his leg and progressively getting closer to his brain. And then they have to induce a coma. Then they have that scene where they put the pins into his brain to kind of shock his brain to try and kill the infection or something, which is also a very good scene. Anything where they're drilling into somebody's brain always looks quite effective. Then the bit you mentioned about Troy and Riker's relationship, there's lots there to go on. It kind of fills out the details of their relationship. Then they try and save him by getting him to focus on all his positive memories and emotions, but that makes the infection spread quicker. And then they do the opposite, go for negative emotions, do all the battles he's been in, all the fight scenes, when the crew was under attack, focus on those, and that slowly but surely killed the virus. And so the clips that we see throughout it, and the clips start about 13 minutes in. So for the first 30 minutes is just a normal Star Trek episode, and then it becomes the clip show after that. And all his memories are seen through the clips from all the positive ones, then they move to the negative ones. And that is it in a nutshell. And he survives, because obviously we see him in season 3 and on, and then in Picard. That is Shades of Grey in a nutshell.
I'm looking at Memory Alpha, and they said they were asked to be able to shoot it in 3 days to save money, because they'd spent a lot of money on several other episodes already that season. So they needed to trim the budget. So they filmed the whole episode in 3 days. And the production assistant, Eric Stillwell, wanted to name this episode Riker's Brain. I think that would have been a better title, actually.
Yeah, that kind of works. But it makes sense. Like, I could probably shoot that in 3 days because most of the episode has already been shot.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it makes sense because I was just going to say, it would have been neater or just a better episode if they decided to say we're gonna his painful memories, if they shot like new ones, like of like things of like when he was a kid, like when his mother died, when things like that, because then we would have seen new things about Riker. But it makes sense that if they wanted to do it in a hurry, that they just kind of use stock footage they had.
Yeah, it still took him days to go through, even 2 seasons. That's 48 episodes worth of Star Trek to pull the clips. I mean, that's a tedious job too, not a job that I would want. It is what it is, and do we need to talk about Shades of Grey much more?
No. It would be easier nowadays because it would all be digital.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too.
It would all be archived on a server and you'd just pull whatever clips you needed and just make whatever you wanted.
And they've really never done another clip show since then. Like there hasn't been another Star Trek clip episode besides retrospectives.
Right, and even
has there been another?
Even in All Good Things, like they were new clip, like they were newly shot memories.
Exactly.
The only thing that gets me about reused footage is battle scenes. There's so many, like especially in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah,
they would just reuse clips, and I was like, "Yeah, I've seen that. Just make new ones for me, please," because I quite like a battle scene.
One of the other episodes we talked about, Joe, you mentioned how much later after it aired in North America, it aired in the UK. And for this one, it premiered on July 17th, 1989, but it didn't air in the UK until October 2nd, 1991. So it was over 2 years later before it aired in the UK.
That's just what it was like back then.
You get no respect, Joe. No respect.
None.
It worked both ways, though, too. We had to wait for Doctor Who. So you guys had to wait for Star Trek, and we had to wait for Doctor Who.
Oh, really? Oh.
I still have never seen Doctor Who.
Oh my gosh, Pierre, I'm learning so much about you today. No Stargate, no Doctor Who.
And it's not good. So listeners, before we started recording, while we were trying to iron out all our technical issues, Pierre confessed to us that he'd never seen any Stargate. And now you've got the new confession that he's never seen Doctor Who.
That is correct.
Which I'm going to describe that about Pierre as it's almost like half a life, isn't it?
Mm.
Been less fulfilled, which is a nice segue into the next episode, I suppose.
I believe it is.
You're half a human, Pierre, half a human.
So, Pierre, do you want to tell us a little bit about Cost of Living?
Sure. Cost of Living is a wonderful episode. That stars Alexandra Rozhenko. That's right. Worf's son is the star of the show, along with Lwaxana Troi. She comes onto the Enterprise to get married, and Worf is having some issues being a father. He's working them through with Diana Troi, and Lwaxana, as the good grandmother, throws a monkey wrench in it all by showing Alexandra some fun things in the holodeck and talking about her carefree way of living and other things like that. And hijinks ensue.
Right, okay, I'm going to make a massive omission, which may already have been made obvious to you guys. I got totally confused about the 2 episodes we're talking about.
Uh-oh.
Today. Yeah, so Shades of Grey was fine, but then I've got confused between Cost of Living and Half a Life, which is why I was calling Pierre half a human.
Yeah.
Which I said it was like a nice segue into the next episodes, because I thought we were going to talk about Half a Life, but I've just badly read the outline for today. And then it goes back to what I originally said about it not being a contest, because it wouldn't be a contest if it was Shades of Grey and Half a Life, because Half a Life is by far the more superior episode. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about Cost of Living, which I don't really like. And I haven't watched in a while, so what am I going to say about that? Interesting.
At first I thought you were first saying that I didn't summarize it correctly. And I'm like, I think that's pretty much exactly how it goes.
Yeah, and then you mentioned Alexander Rozhenko, and I was like, was he in it? He wasn't in it. It was Dr. Timmerson, and Dr. Timmerson was 60 and he was going to die soon. Oh dear. Right. Okay. I'm recalibrating, listeners. It's all laid bare here. I'm an incompetent.
And Joe, the only thing you need to say is the higher, the fewer. Yes. So yeah, cost of living is not half a life. It's nowhere near half a life. And I think it does compare to Shades of Grey. I think they're quite close in quality myself.
See, I do not agree. No. I think cost of living is all about finding yourself in the things that might make you happy and diving into those things and taking a break from the normal, ordinary things about life, the mundane that get you down, and have an opportunity to go and experience something just that you enjoy for no reason.
I think one thing that maybe rubs people the wrong way about cost of living is that it's not about any of our main characters, right? It's about side characters, it's about peripheral characters that people didn't care for all that much. I mean, Lwaxana Troi, I love her, but she's a polarizing figure. There are a lot of Star Trek fans who don't care for someone as larger than life as Lwaxana. And Alexander is a character that I think people feel keep Worf from reaching his full potential, because all of a sudden he's got these responsibilities that he never had before. When you combine the brashness of Lwaxana and the sort of childish whininess of Alexander, and let's make the two of them the focus of an episode, I think it's going to rub people the wrong way. To be honest, I don't mind this episode. It's not as bad as I was making it sound earlier. It is kind of fun. It's a nice diversion, but it really doesn't do much for our heroes, except sort of put both Worf and Deanna in a bad light. You know, Worf just comes off looking like a really bad father, and Deanna comes off looking like a petulant child who just doesn't want to spend any time with her mother. So when you combine all those things, I can see where people come from.
Like a guilty pleasure almost. I suppose there's something about cost of living if you were to be a Starfleet officer, and with all the almost rigid rules and regulations that you have to follow, and you're wearing your jumpsuit every day or your uniform, then I suppose could it be quite oppressive just having that? I know is Starfleet a military organisation? I know there's some debate around about that, but you're living this militaristic lifestyle almost, and there would be a need for you to escape from that, and that's what the holodeck would be good for. And all those little caricatures and all those little things that you saw in the episode that seems just really frivolous, it doesn't matter if it's frivolous. If you need that in your life to get away from the stresses of your normal day-to-day, then I think that's totally fine. So I think you might be right in that cost of living is better than we think. The frivolity it makes it a good thing.
Do you have any thoughts on Alexander and Lwaxana, Pierre?
I mean, I think Alexander gets a little bit of a bad rap about being a whiny kid, because I think in Star Trek we're so used to like the genius, the child genius, right? And I think that he's just like a normal kid. So I think we're so used to that child genius, and that's what Naomi Wildman brought too. She wasn't like a kid genius or anything. She was just a kid. I think, I also think that Worf's behavior influences Alexander too. Like Worf sent him away, right? Like Alexander's got a lot of stuff, and I don't know if Worf has helped any of that stuff. So I mean, of course, my dad sent me away, but this lady, Diana Troi, cares about me, and she's never sent me away. So of course I'm going to listen to her more. And then her mother shows up, right? And she's cool and fun, so of course I'm going to listen to her. So I feel like Alexander gets a bad rap about the way he's portrayed for numerous reasons. I think Worf isn't held accountable enough as a father, also, because he really dropped the ball.
Yeah, I think that's what annoys me about the episode as well. I think Loaxana annoys me because Alexander's just been an annoying child and Loaxana's letting him get away with it. Like a grandparent would give a grandchild all the treats and let them get away with murder. And then the parent is having to do all the kind of damage control and do the discipline. And I don't think that's necessarily helpful. So I think that's why Worf and I suppose Troy is kind of Alexander's surrogate mother, I suppose. They're kind of tearing their hair out with their inability to control Alexander, but also Loaxana just coming on with this kind of bright and breezy way that she has with her, thinking that it's okay for Alexander to misbehave or do what he wants and not do his homework, not his dinner, go away and eat sweets and play on the holodeck. There has to be a balance somewhere, and I think both parties kind of are on the periphery. They're diametrically opposed to each other, aren't they? And they should compromise. They're adults. They should compromise and meet in the middle. There's room for both.
Crusher kind of let Wesley run free. Like, I feel like part of that is, like, you're in such a safe environment on the ship, you know? Like, because, like, the idea is that everyone cares, right? Of Star Trek, right? Like, everyone's going to do the right thing. So you don't really have to supervise your children as closely because if somebody sees something not going well, they're going to say something and do the right thing. So yeah, I don't even know if it was necessary. I think Alexander could have stayed on the Enterprise.
We have to remember, too, that Alexander is very, very young in this episode, too, right? I guess we're led to believe that Klingons grow up very quickly because he's really only 2.5 or 3 years old at this point. He's quite mature for that age, but he is still a very, very young child, and he doesn't understand why his father does what he does. And it does have to be pretty hard on a kid to know that your dad just dropped you off with his parents and took off across the galaxy. It's got to be hard. So yeah, I don't blame Alexander for acting out and acting like a normal kid.
That's got to cause some childhood trauma, isn't it?
Right.
Just being passed from pillar to post. I know your dad's in Starfleet and he's a Klingon, but there must be more help in the 24th century for single parents than what we see Worf utilise.
For sure. Do you think there's a parent support group on the Enterprise?
There's going to be a whole host of things.
Exactly.
I think we don't see a lot of what is actually on the Enterprise, just given the budget constraints that they had. Given the ship, it's almost, 700 metres long. There's like, say, 20 decks. And it's like bigger than the biggest shopping mall, isn't it? So there would be an area like the promenade with shops and daycare facilities, and we know they've got a school. There would be. When there's 1,000 people on board, not all of them being crew, so there would have to be more help. Have to be.
You would think so. Well, let's talk about the holodeck program that Loaxana runs. What do you think of this free spirit colony that she calls up? Is that a place you would visit?
Yes, definitely. I think it looks kind of fun. Do they have a bar? That's a consideration. I would imagine they would do. It's a holodeck, so I can just conjure up something.
The glasses were edible, so there must be something in them.
Yeah, I've never had a mud bath, so I would like to have a mud bath. I think that would be quite kind of therapeutic feeling. I really like the thing in the bubble, the kind of harlequin-faced clown thing floating around in the bubble. I thought that was a nifty effect.
It seemed like they were drawing from all kinds of different characters. There was like a Punch and Judy type couple, and the sort of bloviating wise man. It seemed kind of fun. It would be a nice place to visit from time to time, or maybe just once. But it's not a place that I think I would go back to a lot.
So I always think of the holodeck as like almost like their television, right? So I kind of compare it to like when I'm looking for something to watch on television and I don't want to watch a drama, right? Like I don't want to play Dixon Hill, right? I want just some sort of crazy sitcom where it doesn't matter where I start, what episode I choose, it's going to be light and just fun.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that program is kind of it. Like it's just light and it's fun, and it'll distract you for an hour or a half hour, and then you get to move along.
And with it being a holodeck program, if there's any part you don't like, you just reconfigure it. You just delete character and
True.
add something you want. It's better.
Could you picture any of the other main cast members in this holodeck program? Think Picard would ever sit in the mud bath, or Geordi?
Geordi definitely would. He would try and take a date on it, and it would go horribly wrong.
He'd get mud in his visor.
I could see Geordi. I could see Data.
Yeah, Data just to try and get this human experience. Geordi with the date, but he drops his visor in the mud, and they have to go into the mud, and they just call off after that.
Oh, yeah. Fun. What do you think was meant by the higher, the fewer? Does that mean anything? Or is it just an example of artificial intelligence?
Or does it not mean anything?
Yeah, why was that given such importance in this episode?
It is the answer to a classic riddle.
Okay.
Is it?
What is a mouse when it spins?
What is a mouse when it spins?
The higher,
the fewer.
What is a mouse when it spins?
And the answer is the higher the fewer.
Correct.
I don't get that riddle. I do not understand it all. I'm sorry. It confuses me.
Listeners, if you know, please message us, because we are, I'm super smart, but I don't understand that in the slightest.
Oh, I'm sorry. It might be, why is a mouse when it spins?
Why is a mouse when it spins? The higher, the fewer. Sure.
Why is a mouse... That doesn't even make sense. Why is a mouse when it spins?
Or what is a mouse when it spins? I'm getting some conflicting riddles here.
I don't know. Shall we move on from this riddle? Let's talk about Lwaxana for a little bit. Why do you think she felt the need to marry this guy?
I'm still confused about the mouse and spinning and fewer and higher. So, apparently there's a story, I've just Googled it, and there's a story from a guy called John Nixon in Horley, which is in Surrey in England. It says, this nonsense question was popular among the RAF apprentices at Halton, Buckinghamshire, in the early 1950s, when the full version was, why is a mouse when it spins? That's a question. Because the higher they fly, the fewer, and the engine driver's name was Smith. Why was his name Smith? Because his father's name was Smith. Apart from the logic of the last bit, the repartee had no meaning whatsoever and was probably the precursor of the Monty Python type humour. And then there's a bunch of other... Wow, that's just really added no clarity for me whatsoever.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Listeners, please... Because our listeners are smart, intelligent, good-looking people, and they will have the answer. So please message us. So, Kevin, what was your next question?
It was about Lwaxana and the need that she felt to marry the pompous windbag.
Is that the guy that had his kind of valet with him, the protocol minister or whatever he was?
Yes.
It was like, you weren't allowed to do this, and this, and
yes.
You had to do this, this, and this. Okay. Why did she feel that? Did she just feel the need to get married? And if she was such an outgoing, sociable person, she felt the need to have company all the time, and she knew she was getting a bit older, so wanted to find the one again, perhaps.
So here's my thought. My thought is this, is that after Diana's father dies, I forget his name. He's not Jack, right? No.
Ian.
After Ian dies, Lwaxana kind of, she makes sure that Diana has everything she needs, right? And part of doing that is she doesn't go out and get remarried, right? She's preoccupied with her daughter, right? And making sure that her daughter's okay. So I think that since now her daughter's grown up now, right? And is okay. Lwaxana almost feels like she's missed time, right? To do things for herself. And I think she's kind of in a hurry to do things for herself. And, she essentially, they describe like a dating website that she goes on, right? Like, and she's looking for another husband because she feels like she wasted time, or not wasted, but that she didn't have the opportunity to do something like that before. Now, I do think that she chose to get married on the Enterprise because secretly she wants Picard to get jealous and be like, no, be with me.
See what you mentioned, Pierre, about Loxana spending all her time having looked after Deanna after Ian had died. Deanna's been at Starfleet Academy. She obviously moved to Earth at some point, went to Starfleet Academy for X number of years, more than 4 certainly, and then became a commissioned officer. Did she go to medical school to become a psychologist? Potentially she did. You would imagine that she might have had to do that, and as well as getting her Starfleet training. So she's been away from her home for potentially over a decade now, and then she's been on the Enterprise for 5 years. So that's given Loxana lots of free time to be bumping about her house. And she's not found anybody in that 15 years, or we're guessing.
I think Loxana puts on that sort of bold, brash, in-your-face personality because it does sort of hide her loneliness. And we see that in other episodes. There are episodes where Loxana is more tender. I love her on DS9, her connection with Odo. I love, and in that episode you thought we were covering today, Half a Life, I mean, that's a great Loxana episode. This episode is letting Loxana be as big and bold and brash as she possibly can be. And I think that rubs some people the wrong way. We don't really see a more sensitive side of Loxana in this episode. I mean, she obviously cares about Alexander, but I think she's using that as a distraction from a wedding that she doesn't want to be a part of. And I think these are the lengths people go to when they're trying to avoid doing something they don't want to do, which in this case is marry the minister. Does that make sense?
I think so.
It does.
Perfect. Every now and then I have a cohesive thought. One thing we never talked about with Shades of Grey, and I think we should talk about it with both that episode and Cost of Living, are the importance to the Star Trek canon. Is there anything in Cost of Living that you feel is important going forward with Next Gen or with Star Trek in general?
I think if we do find anything that is going to be insignificant, that it won't really matter.
So I'll tell you. So I guess the first time I watched them, I thought that Cost of Living was going to be more significant as in the idea that it was going to start more of a dialogue, or maybe not dialogue's the word, but start more of us seeing Worf as a father, right? Like I thought that was going to be like a jumping off point of that, which never really happened.
Yeah, agreed. It did feel like we were setting up some storylines for Worf as a father, but I don't know if they felt that Alexander pinned Worf down too much, and so they just downplayed that, or what. But
no,
not much comes out of this, does it?
I think Worf ultimately goes in a different direction, and having a son isn't really conducive to that direction.
Agreed. Now, what about the guest stars of these two episodes? Shades of Grey didn't really have any guest stars, did it? It was a bottle episode, and they tried to make that episode as cheaply as possible so that they could save money, right? So no guest stars in Shades of Grey. But Cost of Living does have Tony Jay as the minister that Loxana is going to marry, and I love this guy specifically from his voiceover work. He was Judge Claude Frollo in Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame, and my favorite role that he ever did in animation was he played the evil computer virus Megabyte on Reboot. Do you remember that show?
Oh, I remember that show. I loved it.
Yeah, so he was the evil computer virus on Reboot. So just having Tony Jay on the show raises Cost of Living in my eyes.
I've never heard of either of those shows before. Interesting.
You've never seen Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame?
I don't think so, no. Oh, that's not surprising.
I've never seen it either.
Oh, it's one of my favorite Disney movies. He plays the evil priest who keeps Quasimodo locked in a tower.
Oh, okay. See, when I'm looking at the guest stars, it's always interesting to see what other Star Trek episodes they've been in. But you wouldn't recognise them necessarily because they're always covered in makeup, which is fun. Like Albie Zelznick was in Macrocosm as the Tac-Tac Consul, and Tash in the Voyager Conspiracy.
Well, Brian Bonsall as Alexander, who at the time was also playing the youngest son on Family Ties.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was, you know, on sitcoms, when they feel they need to do something to tweak the show, they bring in a new kid. That was Brian Bonsall on Family Ties. If you look at his Memory Alpha page, he's quite scary looking as an adult with many, many neck tattoos.
That must be from something. He looks like a prisoner.
I don't.
That looks like a prison jumpsuit.
It does. I think he got himself into some trouble.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Mr. Halm was here, so we got to see Mr. Halm again.
Stroiken. Nice. Larry Hankin, who was in Imaginary Friend.
Mr. Halm is always such a great time.
I do love Mr. Halm. He can just knock you down with just a look, right?
Yeah.
It never has such a character done so much with so little.
Yes.
You know, we all know Mr. Hum, and he's really he may have only spoken 3 words in the whole in his entire time being on Star Trek.
Thanks for the drinks,
right? Like he says thanks for the drinks to Picard, I think to Picard or Riker at the end of one episode, but he doesn't really talk any other time, I don't think.
Well, I think that about wraps up discussion of each individual episodes. Do we need to have a knockdown, drag 'em out debate about which episode is better? Well, I will go vote first because I had to break the tie last time, so I'm going to vote first. And I think, while I don't love either of these episodes, if I was going to watch one again, which is sort of my go-to criteria, which one would I want to watch again, it would be Cost of Living. I
mean, this is about as obvious as my vote for the American president in November. I vote for Cost of Living. I actually think it's a good episode.
Oh, I don't know. I can't call. Can I call it? Is it possible? Can I pick one? Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm going to pick Cost of Living as well, just because the whole clip show idea is annoying. I think they do Shades of Grey as well as they could have, given the constraints they were under. And while Cost of Living kind of annoys me in its frivolity, I think I would still watch it again. But I think it's kind of too close to call for me. There's nothing in it.
Well, there you go. So Cost of Living unanimously moves on to the next round, where it will face off against The Enemy.
That's the one where Geordi is on a planet with Romulan, and there's an ion storm, and they can't beam them up, and he has to work together with them to live.
So that will face off against that. Cost of Living will face off against The Enemy sometime in the future. The next Batleth battle, though, will be Final Mission versus Cause and Effect.
Both really good episodes, but I've decided already.
So I think that's a couple of good episodes.
True, indeed. We don't know what I've chosen. So.
Well, maybe we'll change your mind. Maybe we'll change your mind. So I think our episode is a little bit shorter today because these are not episodes that we love. And listeners, if you have anything you want to talk to us about Shades of Grey or Cost of Living, please let us know. And we will let you know very soon where you can contact us. One thing I will say is I always spell the word gray wrong. I spell it with an E, and it's spelled with an A in Star Trek. So.
I always spell stationary wrong because I have to use it in both contexts, like not moving in terms of physics and also buying pens and pencils for the classroom. And I can never remember which one's which. So I'm like, I usually just guess.
Incoming transmission.
All right. Well, we would love to hear your thoughts on today's show, like I said, and we hope that you will comment on our United Federation of Podcast Facebook page or join our Facebook group, the Federation Council Chambers. You are welcome to start conversations with us or add any general Star Trek info you want to share with the group.
If you'd like to send us an email, you can email the network at contact@ufp.earth, and we might read your email on the show.
Please hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a star rating and written review. That helps others to find the show. You can also follow the entire network's podcasts with our master feed by searching United Federation of Podcasts. This way you won't miss any of our fine shows like All Good Things, Franchise Fatigue, yeah, wow. Always Hold On to Arrow, General Quarters, Mickey's Marvels, Infinite Diversity and Trek Pod. So, Pierre, what section of the ship can you be found while you are... Oh no, that would make sense. I was going to say while you're on the holodeck, but that is the section of the ship. What section of the ship can you be found on while you're looking for somebody to go on to the holodeck with?
The aquatics ring, because who doesn't want to go on the holodeck with a sentinel dolphin? But in the rest of the world, I can be found on the Twitters at plaraco21. And I'm also at the Federation Council Chambers on the Facebooks. And Kevin, which deck will you be on when you are searching for life forms that might sting you and incapacitate you?
Well, in that instance, you'll find me in calibrating the scanning array, because I need to make sure that I'm not going to get stung by anything before I beam down to a planet. But when I'm not doing that, you can find me on one of my other podcasts, True North Nerds, a general nerdery podcast I do with some local friends, or Stage Whispers, a show about live theater in my region, which is Central Ontario. You can find me on Twitter at True North Nerds and on Facebook in the Federation Council Chambers and on the UFP page. And Joe, where can we find you when you are not luxuriously soaking in a mud bath?
Well, how do you know I'm not actually doing that at the moment?
I can see you.
Oh, true, it's Zoom, isn't it? Okay. Well, when I'm not doing that, or when I wasn't in a mud bath, I could actually just do that. It rains a lot in Scotland, so any grass tends to be quite muddy. So yeah, that's a plan. When I'm not doing that though, you can get me on the Federation Council Chambers. You can tweet me on the Twitter at joeyjoe77uk, or you could email me, joepodcast@gmail.com. Although Gmail might have just shut down the email address through lack of use. Sad face.
If you'd like to help keep all our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/UFPEarth. That is patreon.com/UFPEarth to get all the details. We have 4 different levels starting at just $1 per month, and we'd love any support you can give us.
We would like to recognise our executive producers, Brandon Shea-Mutala, Ken Tripp, Zach Moore and Tony Robinson. We would also like to thank Zach Tripp for our opening and closing music and Tony Robinson for our amazing artwork.
Thank you for beaming aboard the Galaxy class. And until next time...
Energize.
Ha!
You're supposed to just sit here?
Engage.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.